Welcome to the Wrestling Podcast that's not just for wrestling fans. This is Smark Friends on lovewrestling.ca. My name is Zach and I'll be your host. I'm speaking to someone I met just last month at Change the Game in Edmonton. He's been called Big Scary, the Big Bad Wolf, the Wolf in Human's Clothing, and while he's all those things in the ring, outside of the ring, he's a podcaster, a stand-up comic, a content creator. I am speaking to Toronto pro wrestler Holden Albright today on Smark and Friends. We're, of course, touching base about Change the Game and if he's still feeling the effects of a grueling hardcore match with Colton Kelly. We're talking about connecting with people through content creation. Holden opens up about what drives him to create and a whole slew of creative ideas for both inside and outside of the ring. Before we jump into that conversation, I have some good people to thank, and that's, of course, the people at RK Athletics. Whatever your fitness goals, RK Athletics are the people to reach out to if you're in the Edmonton area. Of course, personal training options are available to you. If not, there's a whole slew of online resources for you at rkathletics.ca. Once again, whatever your fitness goals are, reach out at rkathletics.ca or even send a DM on Twitter or Instagram at rkathletics1. Back with my conversation with Holden Albright right after this message.
Yo! We're the Boros Twins.
I'm the world's sweetest man, Gentleman Jervis.
This is God's gift to wrestling, Michael Richard Blaze.
This is Chelsea Green.
And we love wrestling.
And I love wrestling.
And I love wrestling.
And I love wrestling.
Oh, we're going to see a superplex powerbomb! Just coming up to the building, Colton Kelly. Colton, I am sorry to interrupt your cigarette, my friend.
If they weren't the MVPs of pandemic wrestling, then I honestly don't know who are.
Of course, we did want to give everybody a bit of a rundown on what you can expect here on Love Wrestling through 2021 and beyond.
This crowd is going bananas!
I'm Spencer Love, and this is Love Wrestling.
And we are back. This is the first time I've had a guest make back-to-back appearances on subsequent episodes of Smark and Friends. He is the professional wrestler. He is a podcaster and content creator in his own right. Mr. Holden Albright, thank you for joining the show.
Thank you for having me. I was surprised the last time you recorded me after the show in Edmonton, but now I'm in my own domain, and I didn't know you were from Quebec.
Yeah, man, I made the travel all the way to Edmonton pretty much just for the show.
That's crazy. I hate the fact that you're so close to me and I didn't know.
Oh, dude, again, like now that I know that you're a hop, skip, and a jump away, I feel like we'll be crossing paths a little more regular now.
For sure before April. I don't know when, but 5 months from now, I can guarantee we'll figure something out.
I look forward to that. In fact, like when I was traveling to Edmonton, I went pretty much like the day before the event, and I was gone the day after. And while I was transferring in Toronto, like I had kind of like touched base with you beforehand, like very softly online. I had never seen you perform yet, but I saw some dudes wearing some wrestling gear, and specifically the Acolytes of Albright T-shirt. And again, since I wasn't familiar with you too much beyond a couple pictures, I was like, is that Holden Albright? Should I go say hi? But no, just one of your many supportive fans.
Yeah, the little acolytes there. The my favorite of the APA homage logo. But I will say right now, I just want to put a little teaser out there because it does involve Love Wrestling a little bit. Spencer might be in the Toronto area April 24th. That invite also extends to you. I'll give you more details off air and such like that. But Toronto's a little closer than Edmonton, but
absolutely.
Wink and nudge.
We'll have a clandestine conversation. Like you say, when we go off the air.
Yes.
When I was about to introduce you, I was wondering if I was doing it wrong because I was looking at your Twitter handle. It's Holden Albright. Now, do you have two middle names that are both also Albright?
Yo, like you bringing that, so it's just a Matthew McConaughey joke. Like there was a point during the pandemic, you just got that right now, didn't you?
Yeah, 100%.
There was a moment during the pandemic that I changed my display name to holding on and barely, or it was barely holding on. It was Holden's fallen off a ledge. There's like different stuff during the pandemic, but like I'm doing all right now, and just Albright. It's a funny little thing.
It's very clever. Yeah. Now that I'm hearing it.
But you said, do I have multiple middle names? So that's a funny little story for the fact that depending what legal document you look at, and the reason I wasn't able to get my driver's license for a couple years, my legal name is either Brendone William, no middle name, Caulfield, or it's Brendone William Caulfield. There is, depending on the legal document, there's a hyphen in my first name, or I have a middle name. So you saying, do you have multiple middle names? Actually, depending, I don't have a middle name.
That's like the strangest little anomaly in birth certificate red tape that I've ever heard.
My life's a sitcom, bro.
Now, speaking of like when I pretty much ambushed you after Change the Game with my cell phone and filming you with a bunch of ridiculous questions, you had just gone to war with Colton Kelly in a hardcore match, dude. Like, are you recovered from that yet? How long did it take you to feel better after that one?
So I put it on my close friend's Instagram story, but I did get an x-ray last Thursday, I believe it was, after work, because my forearm at the beginning of the match, he throws a chair at me. In wrestling, we call it sabu, where it's like, oh, sabu me with the chair. And he threw that at me at the beginning of the match, and I just felt the leg hit me. And it's one of those things of, you literally witnessed the way I wrestled, especially in a hardcore match. I'm going to feel things, but it's, can I keep going? And then right. I once broke my hand, or I broke my knuckle, and I didn't know for 10 days. My hand was just swelling up like a softball, and just like, it looks like a pizza pocket that's heating up too much and it's about to explode. And that's just my hand. I just thought I dislocated my finger, and it took me 10 days. I go to the walk-in clinic because I don't go to like a real doctor because I'm an idiot. And they go, okay, go here to get an x-ray. So I go get an x-ray. I should have just gotten to like urgent care or the ER. I get my x-ray. I go home and take a nap because I work overnights. And I wake up to like 7 missed calls from the walk-in clinic. And I call them back. I'm like, hey, what's up? They're like, your hand is broken. Go to a hospital immediately. I'm like, oh, crap. So I go and I message my friends, Alexia Nicole, who was at the show, actually, Gabriel Fuerza and Shane Saber, because a bunch of us used to get together to watch movies on Tuesday nights. And I was like, hey, guys, I'm going to be a little late. I can't make it to the gym before the movies. I broke my hand. And they all went, what the hell? Like, don't worry about it. I'm like, no. I want to go to the VIP experience at Cineplex. I want to grab some alcohol, and I want to enjoy time with my friends. So there was like a photo that floated around for a little bit of me with this giant fish bowl of some liquid with these weird sunglasses on and one cast on my hand. And I was called Agent Fishbowl for a little period of time that summer.
This sounds like it could be like, if it gets picks up enough steam, becomes like the thing of folklore in the Holden Albright story. That'd be like a really good cosplay for someone showing up to a live event.
Bro, I think like if someone really tries, either between like depression or anxiety stuff and just like randomness, like there's been so many in the short period of time I've been in wrestling. I even broke it down to someone recently because in less than 7 days, I celebrate my 6-year in-ring match. The first time I had a match, but February will be 8 years in wrestling. And I was like, oh, awesome. year 1 Holden looks like this. Year 2 looks like this. Year 3, 4, 5 was a pandemic. So it was, but there's literally a specific look for each one of those. And it's just like, I enjoy the fact that there's a lot of wrestlers that might even wear like the same gear for decades. And like, they don't really change or anything, to where I have had, and not just like getting in better shape or whatever. It's just like, there is different things between the entrance. Like I never always had the wolf mask, and there's all these little things, but I've lived like such a random life that like when you mentioned the middle name thing, I have a story off of that. When you mention whatever, I have these random stories. And then it's these, wait a minute, is this a traumatic experience or is this a funny story? And I also have a background in stand-up comedy. So I turn my traumas into stand-up sets.
Dude, well, again, it's led to some marvelous content creation. I have yet to enjoy it or see any of your stand-up. I want to phrase it like I've yet to enjoy your stand-up comedy. That seems like a loaded sentence. I just haven't seen any yet. But again, I love the content that you're creating. And before we like really jump into a conversation about podcasting, you went through hell to win that match. You got sabued. You broke some records. I want to know, did you break any valuable records there? You broke some records to like to take to Colton Kelly there.
I almost forgot about the records for a second there, and then I kind of remember. I'm not a good music dude. I'm definitely a pop guy. Britney Spears is a top 5 artist for me. Like, I'm all over the walls. I don't know what records they were. I will say, like, all I asked for was Thumbtacks, and I kind of regret asking for that. But like, he's like, I was told, like, a staff member came over. It was Ivan, actually. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that he was a part of it, but he brought over a trash can filled with a bunch of toys, and why? These are toys on my walls. These are weapons. They're not toys, but I'm messed up. So he just gave a bunch of these toys. Like, oh yeah, and there's a bunch of records in there. And I'm like, what am I gonna do with these records? And I'll be honest, there is something I most of the time do in hardcore matches where I'll put like an 8x10 between someone's fingers and give them a paper cut. I did not give him a paper cut with the records, but I did once he was bleeding a little bit. I took a chain to his head and then I scraped it open a little bit more. So I don't know if I broke any records, but I definitely broke some skin.
Again, I was just worried like you found some gem, like a original release of Dark Side of the Moon or something, and just like broke it over your knee so you could weaponize the thing.
Hell yeah, why not? It's a pro wrestling match. It's 2021. We got Spotify and Apple Music. We don't need records anymore.
Oh, you're attacking the vinyl file. My vinyl file's heart is breaking.
Excellent.
So, dude, again, like aside from stand up, you develop a wealth of content creation, vlogs, podcasts. With the ABC podcast, and the stuff that you release exclusively on Patreon. How long you been like going about all this? Like, I know you said you started wrestling 7 years ago. Was content creation happening around the same time?
So my very first podcast was called GTA Wire, and on March 2nd. Next year, it will be 10 years since I first did that podcast.
Okay, so it predates your wrestling.
Yeah, by quite a few years, because it's February 2014 is wrestling training, and March 2011 is that. So like a solid 3 years. But like I didn't grow up saying I want to start a podcast. I just started finding podcasts and then finding out I could do it and then figuring all of that stuff out. And then even for wrestling, like I always wanted to be a wrestler. I never had ideas of WWE or WrestleMania or whatever. And it wasn't until I had like someone bail on a trip. And instead of me going like, oh, screw it, I'm like, oh, I have money. Oh, Squared Circle Training is offering schools. So like with podcasting, when I started it, I'm a firm believer in imitate before you can innovate. And there was a wrestling radio show called Live Audio Wrestling. And then they had a spin-off, not really a spin-off, but like a sister program called Bite Radio, which had Jason Agnew, John Pollock, and a bunch of their other coworkers. And they talked about their week. And it was the highlights of their week, the lowlights of the week, the awesome moment, the pissed off moment, and viewer feedback. And I basically just stole that format. And I was already like talking to Jason Agnew and like he was totally okay with it. But then the messed up thing is you have time to do a podcast, so you're not doing much. And I was that anomaly that I didn't start drinking, especially as a Canadian. I didn't start drinking until a month before I turned 20. There was a little, once again, sitcom moment. There was a week-long stretch in like grade 7 or 8 that my sister had wine coolers that I thought it was just like juice. So I'd watch like YTV at 4 p.m. and I'm drinking wine coolers until I got yelled at one day that I'm drinking alcohol. But also I'm Italian. So I've been having Coke and wine since I was like 8 or 9. So like I wasn't like, oh no, it's the devil. I'm also a Stone Cold guy. I knew eventually I was going to be a drunk. I just didn't know when it was going to hit. And it was a month before I turned 20, which was the same year that the podcast that I started it. So, oh yeah, because it would be 2012 because we're in 2021 right now. So I turned 20 in 2012. And the thing is, we were talking about our weekend, these piss off moments, awesome moments, but we weren't living life. We weren't doing anything. All of us were just working at a movie theater. And then we started drinking and partying and actually having stories we could tell on the podcast. But then we didn't have time to record the podcast because we were living life. And then like I tried different variations of it. And I was always I want to be a team guy. Going back now and processing traumas and such, I've always felt like I was never a part of groups. And like I had friends, but I don't think I had anyone close and personal, and just like a bunch of family stuff that I'm still processing now to figure out. But I've always tried to bring people together and always trying to join people. Like the fear of missing out, I'd rather everyone be together. And so I tried like 3 or 4 different versions of it. And it wasn't until 4 years ago, probably. Oh, wow. When I started This Is Brendone, because I started leaning into the darker side for Holden Albright. And legitimately, I did not want to Heath Ledger myself. So I needed some sort of like anchor to the real world. So I was like, well, a lot of people in wrestling are like, your real life doesn't exist. Go full character, full gimmick. I was afraid if I went full gimmick or full character, I'm either being arrested for murdering or I'm going to murder myself, which is called suicide.
Right.
So I decided to do this, and then that format was on and off. And I break it now down to, especially during the pandemic, a bunch of my friends started podcasts. And now I can look at it. And this is for anyone listening also for content creation, because one of those, I think you should learn from other people's mistakes, and people shouldn't be afraid to tell you their failures and their vulnerabilities, because it will help you in the future. Everybody who does a podcast, if you do more than 2 or 3 episodes, you're probably going to make it to episode 10. And then you're going to be like, it's okay if I miss a week. It's okay if I miss a month. And then it goes like that. And you either never do it again, or you start up again and you do 1 or 2 episodes, and maybe you get to episode 20 and you take a break. Also, because of the pandemic, I saw a lot of circle of this guy starts 10 episodes later, they stop. Oh, look, another one starts 10 episodes later. The first person comes back 10 more episodes. And it's all about that consistency. Even if, and I tell all my friends now, hey, if you need a guest for your podcast, if you need anything, I am okay talking. I have a microphone. I have a webcam. I'm here for you if you need it. I have weird work hours, so I'm pretty open most of the time. So I'm like, I just want to help people. And it just became, okay, looking at that. And not until the pandemic, because I was busy with wrestling, I wasn't having time to edit podcasts. And then I just wanted to talk to my friends. So I'm like messaging. I was like, hey, do you want to have a Skype call? Hey, do you want to do an Instagram live? And then I just ended up having so much content that even now in July, I got like real. I'm like, okay, I need to get like, I'm going to send a bunch of messages to people if you want to be on the show. And they all said yes. So which led to like in July, I think it was like 25 days straight of talking to one of my friends every single day, that even right now, I still have like maybe 13 or 14 episodes I still need to edit and post. But luckily I have Patreon that anyone in the upper tier gets the raw podcast, to where I don't censor out. I say my dumb stuff. I legit say the people I do not like, the people I do not trust. I even say my relationship experiences will be the PG version to say that, like, I'm like, hey, if you're willing to pay for a tank of my gas, here's the most vulnerable I will be. And also, if anyone like hates me and they're trying to look for dirt for me, it's $50 American on patreon.com/BrendoneC.
Well, that might be the best plug for one's content I've heard in a while. If you want the dirt on me, if you want to blackmail me somewhere down the road, it's going to cost you.
Hey, I tell all my female friends, it's not about avoiding the creeps. The creeps are going to be there. It's about monetizing the creeps. That's what you got to do.
Clever. I find it very interesting. Like you say, like you're talking about bringing people together, which you do so marvelously on your content. And like you juxtapose that against the whole an Albright character who is a lot more ruthless and vicious and doesn't exactly seem like a people person. What's it like, living with these two worlds?
I think it's literally, so pre-pandemic Holden Albright was straight up a serial killer. Like a lot of people get motivated by like popular culture. Like Dexter Loomis is motivated by Dexter Morgan from the TV series. Like there's all these very specific pop culture references. I hate horror movies. I said I'm not going to swear a lot, so this is going to be one of them. I'm a little bitch. I don't want a horror movie. But I remember like the first like horrible photos I saw on the internet. Like I was one of those dudes that was on bestgore.com way more than I should.
Okay.
So the motivation
that takes me back. Oof.
Especially being in Quebec. But like being with that when I was younger, like I never, before true crime was like actually popular, not just like True Crime Files or A&E whatever, like before every other podcast is about true crime, I enjoyed it, and I was looking at it, and it was like a realistic thing for me of like, evil exists in the world. Like, I kind of grew up religious, but not religious. It was like the laziest religious ever. I've just happened to be in a Catholic elementary school, so baptized, communionized, confirmed, but also from grade 6, 7, 8, my report card kept giving me 52% in religion, saying, oh, he understands what's written, but not how to use it in day-to-day life. Now I'm 29. I recognize myself as an atheist. I'm like, oh, you were right, Miss Blackmore, but you couldn't fail me for religion, because what was a summer school for religion? Just go to church? I wasn't doing that already. But I knew evil existed, and a lot of people will be motivated by like a movie or something, where I'm motivated by like the serial killers that would write tapes and stuff. Like, my ultimate promo idea, or like, not idea, because it involves killing myself on camera, which is not the purpose, but it is. Do you remember Bjork Stalker?
Like her actual stalker, or?
Yeah, there was
I'm not familiar with that.
So there was a dude that sent her a pipe bomb, and they clearly got it before it got to her. And then there was also a video, and it was like a 7-hour VHS tape. And in the video, the dude's like in a bathroom, kind of normal, but not normal. And then at some point, he's like shaving his head. He puts like red face paint, body paint all over himself. And then he puts a gun in his mouth and he shoots himself on camera. And he didn't send out the video, obviously, because he can't send him. Yeah. So they found the video at his house afterwards, of course, with his body. That's what I think about when I do my promos. And before the pandemic, because right now I'm in like this weird stage with Holden Albright, because there's a lot of Brendone Caulfield positivity that's been going out, but then the Holden Albright is such a serial killer. Like, I have some storylines going on right now in Ontario that's going to bring out the killer. Like, there's a little more creepy Holden Albright for a show I have coming up in Vancouver that involves burning photos. Like, I used to come out with a briefcase, and I would go on your Instagram or your Facebook account. I would also go to the public version, because even if I was friends with you, I only wanted to use stuff that you accidentally shared to everybody. So I would post photos of you with your girlfriend or your wife, photos of your children, and I would use that in the briefcase of, I don't even use that for a promo. I'm using it that when I used to come out kind of like Naito, and I would come out in like a suit and a tie, and I would fold it in there. But when I'm opening it, you just see these photos. And one of the first dudes I did that to was Josh Alexander, and he like just looked over before we wrestled, just went, what the there's photos of my baby, and like the baby was a month old at the time, and he's just like, what is this? And I think he did hit me harder because of that, but like he always hits hard, so I never really knew, but I knew I creeped him out for sure. And now I'm in this weird character, but I'm going back to it soon. And actually it is in the Vancouver thing, because I reveal who I'm facing at the end of it. But I normally have, it looks like it's a VHS tape when it goes in, and it would have the case number, which, spoiler alert for anyone that's paying attention, or Easter egg, not spoiler, Easter egg of, I put the promotion name in the initials and the date of the event. I put the location of the city as the crime scene, and my victim's my opponent. So those are all little things, because in my mind, I picture that somewhere, someplace, there's an evidence locker with all these videos of all my victims and such. Like, that's why, like, I think way deeper than this than I probably should. And like, no one even told me. I've started talking to younger wrestlers, and I ask them, like, besides not wanting to be a loser, why do you want to win the match? And a lot of people don't know. Yeah, if you're fighting for a championship, you know why you want to win the match. But if this was a real boxing match or an MMA fight, if you win this match, you get more money. Money is the result of everything in life. And the Holden Albright character, that's where I'll go a little promo-ish. It's, I want to be remembered. And it's not championships and accomplishments or victories. It's from my victims. Oh, sorry, my opponents. When they look at this, when they look at the scar on my arm, they know that I gave it to them, or the scar on their arm. They know I gave it to them. When they wake up in the middle of the night in cold sweats, they are thinking of Holden Albright. I'm going to give you more time to spend with your family. The first couple of weeks are going to be in a hospital room, though. I know I will take 210 of your punches. I don't know if you can take 200 of mine. I don't know who's going to win, but I know, banged or bruised, I'm going to walk into my next show the next day. I'm going to walk into training that week. I'm going to walk into training the week before the match. I'm going to keep going because I choose pain. Wrestling was there for me when I had nothing in my life. When everyone else, and this is just Brendone Caulfield, and I realized this recently, actually, when everyone else had family that supported them and hugged them and said, I loved you, and showed they loved you, I had nothing. Like, I have parents, I have a sister, but they weren't there for me when I needed them. But Stone Cold was there with a steel chair. Hardcore Holly and Al Snow were there with a hardcore 24/7 rule. And then I realized, oh man, I'm broken because of this. But luckily, I like stand-up comedy too, so I enjoy a little John Panette, a little Russell Peters, and it balances itself out. I think maybe bipolar, not sure yet.
I like this whole imagery of like the whole case file. It's cinematic wrestling is kind of like it's picking up steam. You know, like we see it used in sporadically in things like AEW, and it was used at large in like Lucha Underground, things like that. Again, there's room for these more presentational characters. Absolutely. I'm getting goosebumps like thinking about the video package you just described. I want to see it now.
Well, that's the thing. It's like anyone that shits on anything, they don't understand it. And instead of thinking, oh, I'm ignorant to this and someone somewhere enjoys this, they go, well, it's not for me, so it's whatever. I've started, so the Holden Albright character right now is like this weird, angry, bitter vet, but I haven't even been in this in a decade. Because everything I say to people, they understand where it's like, well, I get it. You're justified in this. As you see, I overthink about all my thoughts that I can process it properly, and then I can dumb it down to some metaphors. I think any wrestler that's involved in wrestling right now, especially on the indie scene, if any of them say wrestling sucks nowadays, wrestling on TV is garbage, it was so much better in the Attitude Era. I love the Attitude Era. I was 8 when it happened. I was so screwed up. I didn't know Sable flashed me with handprints on her chest. I thought it was a bikini top. I don't know. I was a kid. But like any wrestler, if you're active in wrestling and you do not think the product is good right now, even though it's making the most amount of money it ever has, get the fuck out of wrestling. If you're not trying to make it better and you think it will never be as good as it was when you were a kid, cool. Get out of wrestling so that, to be honest, you're probably not even making $100 for your booking fee. At least let that $100 go to 4 young guys that will want to fight harder. I've said it multiple times. I'm not going to name drop names. I'll be on the Patreon. But I'd rather pay 4 young guys $20-$30 each to have a banger of a 4-way than one veteran that just hasn't quit wrestling in 20 years but has a long list of people they've abused and made quit the business because they've been in it. Just because you haven't quit doesn't mean you're good. You just survived. Sorry.
Damn. And again, that if you want names dropped, you must go to Brendone Caulfield's Patreon page, which we will drop links towards the end of the episode. In the description, just go ahead and make a click there.
Well, especially this month. It's my birthday on the 23rd, so I'm going to do a whole bunch of... We do all these Zoom hangouts. We watch wrestling together. It's super fun out there.
Coming back to podcasting for a moment, like aside from like, the influencers, like the Colt Cabanas, the Chris Jerichos, it's a very popular medium for independent creators, independent wrestlers who go on to do content creation. Why do you think they gravitate towards the medium?
A lot of wrestlers want to talk. A lot of wrestlers can't talk, though. That's why there was a lot of podcasts that have sub 10 episodes. They need to stick with that consistency. And a lot of also a lot of wrestlers will say comedy wrestling sucks. No, it doesn't suck. Comedy is a very hard thing to do right. And just because you're not funny doesn't mean this person over here isn't funny. And now, especially because I've done podcasts for nearly 10 years. When I first started, I needed to buy a microphone that was like $50, and then it evolved to mixers because I had a whole bunch of people. But at the basis of it, I needed to pay at least $15 a month for Podbean originally. Now Anchor FM is free. Like, we're on StreamYard, and I didn't know StreamYard was a thing before the pandemic. Like, there's so many, like, the barrier of entry used to be so high and specific, and you needed to make sure like this was this. And like, luckily, read some articles, you find out about Audacity, Levelator, all these little things. But now there's so many different ways to get in. You can use Zoom instead of Skype. You can use StreamYard. You can use all these random things that it's so much easier to do now. And then especially, it's a way to talk to your friends, and it creates more. The people that use it right know that it is a free product to promote the real thing. Like a lot of people talk about your booking fee isn't what pays you, the merch is what pays you. And it is we're fan base. And I talked to you about this before we went on the air of 10 years ago, it was always angry video game nerd, rage grandpa. It's all this negativity. And I hated people before the last 2 years that were like, oh, you're being negative. You got to be more positive. And what they just meant was they couldn't take criticism and seeing the truth.
Well said. Very well said.
Literally like, hey, I smell fire. Oh, don't be so negative. Bro, your washroom's on fire right now. No. It's like, why are you ignoring this fire? But now it is because of Patreon, because of all these other things. It is a connection of you're supporting us. You have this. So there's a lot more people that are grateful and appreciative because 150 years ago, or not that long ago, but like 100 years ago, there was no actors weren't independent. They were, you only made movies for Universal. You only made movies for Fox. You only made movies for MGM. It was very much like wrestling where you're an independent contractor, but not really. You're doing it for this company only. And now we can do stuff on our own. We have merch stores. We have Patreon. We have OnlyFans. We have all this stuff that we can actually use to our full potential. And this goes back to me being like irritated with some veterans. It's in 2005, if you wanted to look up a wrestler's tape, you would need tapes. You would need DVDs. Now we have streaming services. And then also if you're cheap and you don't want to pay for a streaming service, you have Dailymotion. And if you're a little bit smarter, you can use torrents. You can find everything, which is the ease of access. The barrier of entry is so low now that now to stand out, you have to work really hard. And people don't fully realize that or appreciate it. It's the same as people that look at a stand-up comedian. They go, oh, well, anyone could stand up there with a microphone. One of the biggest fears is literally public speaking. These guys can't say that second paragraph in that geography class, but they think they're going to be able to go up there and tell a story, especially if it's a very funny personal story. Like my stand-up, when I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do, and I'm not trying to be PG or anything, there's a lot of personal stories about Brendone Caulfield in there. There's like some, like, I wasn't abused, but I was definitely a shithead of a child, so I was disciplined. And it's like, how do you turn an abuse thing into a joke? I figured it out. How do I turn my lack of sexual experiences when I was in my 20s? I figured it out. That was my coping mechanism. How do I make this funny? And it's just all these little things I realize, like, when people don't understand something, they just want to like shit on it. And there's a difference between shitting and criticizing. Criticizing is something you can improve on. Shit talking is something someone can't improve on. Well, if you were 1.5 feet taller, okay, I can't fix that. Is there anything in the match? No, the match was perfect. Cool, thanks.
Yeah.
Oh no, your forearms look like shit. Okay, that's criticism.
That I can work on, absolutely.
Yes.
Well, okay. Say you get the dream offer from both pro wrestling and from content creation, be it like, I don't know what your preferred medium in that regard is.
Do you want to know what my dream is? Do you want to know what my like goal dream is?
Out of the yeah, lay it out.
So like, no, America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
So I want to do that, but without the competition. I just want a bunch of talented people to do stage shows, and this is where it goes. Like, I'm very humble and realistic. My dream aspiration is I want to host that kind of variety show, toured around Canada, aired on CBC. I do not think I'm going to be making $1 million from this, but I think it'll be really fun if I get to travel across the country and I get to see a magician here and a dancer here and a comedian there. Like, that's my thing. And then wrestling, I have no aspirations of wrestling. I just loved it so much that I accidentally got not bad at it. But like, when I'm 40, I don't know if I want to be Oprah Winfrey, Mark Maron, or Art Bell hosting Coast to Coast AM. I just know I want to be doing something. I want to have a platform to tell other people's stories.
I like it. That certainly answers my question. I was certainly being a lot more wordy than I aimed to be, but we'll get you a platform. We'll get you a platform across Canada.
Hey, even this counts.
Absolutely. Well,
by the way, we didn't get a chance to say this. Do you remember what I told you the first time I saw you right before we started recording that interview last time?
Is that my hat? I was standing in the pose.
Dude,
No?
you straight up look like your profile photo. Like I've never seen someone just look like their photo. Like it was just framed perfectly because like even on your profile photos, it's kind of filtered up or whatever, like almost like cartoon. But like when I saw you in person, I was like, Zach, like you look like your photo.
I was quite flattered at that. Again, it stuck with me. But, speaking of our first encounter, we alluded to this, that we kind of spoke at Change the Game in a less than controlled environment. So, just for fun, I just kind of wanted to take us back and relive our brief few moments in that interview. And so for those who haven't catched the most recent episode of Smark Friends, and I hope you do after this particular conversation, here is the unaired, raw, unedited footage of me and Holden Albright. It's okay. This whole episode is going to be very lively. The space is alive.
Lively.
What's your name, sir?
I am professional wrestler. Are you recording?
Sorry, yeah, I needed to put my drink down and make sure I'm holding it right. What is your name, sir?
3 issues. I only heard 2, so...
Maybe let's go down.
Are you still recording? Is this all recorded right now? Is this all B-roll bloopers?
Yeah, this is gonna find its way into the pod. There's no place to sit. I want to keep you comfortable, so hang out here. What's your name, sir?
I am professional wrestler Holden Albright.
What did you do at Change the Game?
Just fucking won.
Yeah, you did.
And I went through hell and punishment.
What planet are you from?
Earth. Isn't that this one? I'm Canadian and Italian.
Last I checked, this is the one that we're on. What's the worst buy one, get one free sale of all time?
Shoes. Like, I feel like that was the first BOGOs I ever goddamn heard. And it's like, I just buy a pair of shoes.
Holden Albright, what is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, I got multiple. This isn't a lie. Like, I am a karaoke dude. We got Get Back by Ludacris. Every now and then, I'll try to do an Eminem song, and then remember, just because we're both white doesn't mean I can keep up. I'm a big fan of Devil Went Down to Georgia. Okay. You gotta get a little Friends in Low Places in there. And then, like, who is it? I want to say, Toxic by Britney Spears.
Oh.
Or it might be Womanizer. I got hit in the head a lot.
It's 3 a.m. You're at McDonald's. What are you ordering?
So if it's 3 a.m. at McDonald's, I'm in the backseat of the car while my buddy is fooling around with a girl, and I'm doing squats on the grass while we're stuck in the drive-thru. But I'm ordering, the best part is, you ever wake up, I've never woken up with a girl and not remembered, but I've woken up with junior chickens in my bed, and like, it's happiness. These are all real stories.
If you were a sea creature, what would you be?
So I wouldn't be a sea creature at all. The sea's my number 3 fear.
Okay.
The sea's my number 1 fear. I can't swim. My number 2 fear is women with sharp objects, because I watched too many documentaries about women stabbing dudes 75 times because they got yelled at 5 years ago. Number 3 fear, wireless technology.
Last question for you, sir. If you had to, could you kill your clone?
I feel like I can't commit suicide, so no. But definitely if I had another me, other people are going to be dead.
Okay, 2 things.
Such a sample for this.
The shoes is the answer that popped me the hardest throughout all those interviews I did with the people that changed the game. I was stifling so much laughter to continue my conversation with you. But I want to ask, have you discovered any other junior chickens in your bed since Change the Game?
So, funny story. I haven't really eaten specifically junior chickens. Like I have way too many coffees from McDonald's. But like it's that fucking mobile app. It's too easy. Like I can order it while I'm driving and then just pull into a drive-thru. I go, this is my order. I don't have to talk to you. Or if I like the drive-thru is busy, I can go inside. I don't have to talk to anyone. Or I can just sit in my car in a parking spot. 2021 is wild. We're in Ontario. It's legal in Canada. I bought weed through a drive-thru that I ordered online. That blew my mind. It's one of my highlights of the year. It's crazy. Yeah, there's a pandemic. That sucks. But like there's so many little things. But actually, within the last 36 hours, I have had a junior chicken value meal from McDonald's. Like, it's funny that you actually bring that part up, but very much I stifled around my buddy fooling around with a girl while I'm doing squats. That's a real story. That's me saying him getting a blowjob without saying that. Also, we recorded that maybe like, you want to say like 10 p.m., maybe like 10:30-ish?
Yeah, something like that.
I went to work that morning before flying out there at midnight. So plus that like 3 hours, you could see it in my eyes of like, I'm still talking, I'm engaging. That's why I feed off the energy of other people. I was probably awake for like 25 hours at that point.
Oh my God, dude, you are a trooper.
I just love, I live every day to the fullest.
Good on you, man. Look, before I let you go, I didn't ask everyone every single question I had at the Change the Game event. I hit everyone else up with, varied questions. So I want to bring some of the other questions that I asked your fellow pro wrestlers to you. One last little quick Q&A. Is it pronounced GIF or GIF?
GIF.
GIF? Okay. That seems to be the rock solid answer. No one's really wavering towards Team GIF, and I like to see it. What TV show was canceled way too soon?
I have to say, like, everything on Fox between 2002 and 2007, it just didn't have a chance to run. And I used to be a big fan when I was torrenting stuff. If I saw S01, E01, I was watching all of this, which led to me knowing a bunch of random storylines that went nowhere. So I'm like, I think I talked about Dexter a little bit earlier. Dexter season 4 is amazing. Before that's a little wonky. After that, depending how you feel, new season starting soon, or it already started. Hopefully, the ball doesn't drop.
Season 4 is classic. That's John Lithgow, right?
Trinity Killer, brother.
Ooh,
woo, so good.
Marvelous story that season. Who would play Holden Albright in a biopic?
Oh no, I think it would be funny if the biopic of Holden Albright is just like, well, the biopic of Brendone Caulfield would be like told like drunk history style, and it's just random different people. Like when we were talking about the different looks and the such like that, imagine like there's like a female version of me at some point, me retelling the stories, and then there's like a 7 foot tall black version of me, and then there's like a 4.5 foot tall little person. Like I think like that would be the most like hilarious Brendone Caulfield, but for Holden,
like that what's that movie? The Bob Dylan one. Like everyone plays Bob Dylan, like Kate Blanchett and just like a whole bunch of people. Yeah. Anyway,
yes.
Sorry, this is your story, not mine.
There was one called Cloud Atlas from the people behind the Matrix.
Yep.
No one understood that, and it involved like the same actors. I just think it'd be funny just retelling these stories, and like you don't know if you're getting a 7 foot tall person, a little person, twins playing me, and they're saying all the lines at the exact same time, so you're not sure if you're concussed while watching it. Crap, like I think I might create that myself when I'm 30. I think I might do like a monthly video special about that. You definitely got to play me in one of them. I'm down. I'll cast you to play me when I was in kindergarten. And they told me to like draw and it'll be full Billy Madison. We'll get like 12 other like 4-year-olds and then you, and it's you draw what you wanted to be as a kid. And everyone else had like doctor or lawyer. They should have known I had some sort of mental learning disability, because mine had a guitar because I wanted to be a country singer. It had one microphone for rap, one microphone for stand-up, knee pads and boots for wrestling, a police shirt, and a fireman's hat. Why did they not ask questions? What is wrong with this kid? They did not care enough. These are real stories. This is what goes on in my head of like, why did no one help this kid?
Oh, not only does there need to be a video series, my friend, I think you need to write a full book, because I would be among the first to be reading this. Oh, you got something. I have 3 books planned.
So the first one's going to come out. It documents up until 35. It's going to be called Straddling the Line of Stupidity. It's me on a tightrope with like a burnt up umbrella on one side, and I'm in wrestling gear with crocodiles, sharks, and glass and fire underneath me. The second book is called Not Dead Yet, which will go from like 35 to like 50 or whatever. And then the last book will be published a year after I die, called That Was Brendone, because my podcast is This Is Brendone. I got this planned out. I have so many plans. I got plans till after I'm dead. That's too many plans, bro.
Well, I am on board. to the grave. To the grave. I am down to indulge in the content. Last question for you out of my ridiculous ones. Another job in which a suplex would come in handy.
I had to sign a piece of paper at my real job that said I will not retaliate against one of my supervisors. And I was told to stop calling him a piece of shit, to where I replied he should stop acting like a piece of shit. So like I think any job really could use a suplex every now and then.
I think I agree with you. I haven't worked with people in a while, been working remotely, but yeah, I agree with that.
You suplex your cat every now and then.
Oh, dude, this guy is the biggest pain in the ass. Like, he's trying to like eat my cables right now as I speak.
Cats are the worst, and we love them.
I know. This is like such a like Stockholm syndrome, like that.
Literally,
we have with
it's a domestic abusive relationship.
Okay, he's settling down. But while I keep an eye on my cat, once more, I just want to thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me this evening, this Monday. Before I let you go, please let the audience know what matches you got coming up, where to be looking out for your content, and of course, social media, all those important links. Now's the time, friendo. I've never said friendo. Wow. Oh, I didn't like that.
Every time Love Wrestling goes live on Twitch and it says, "Hey friends," I hear Spencer's voice. I read it in his voice, and then when I look and it's not always him, I'm just like, fuck, I heard your voice, dude. And I loved it. That's why I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I'm one of those smart people that, as you can see down below, if you're watching the video, it's at Holden Pro on Instagram and Twitter. My Facebook's like Holden Pro also, but like it's just regurgitation of the Twitter or the Instagram. I engage way more, especially. Do you have a Facebook like page that isn't your profile?
I have there's one for Smark Friends, which I hold on to because I want to use it for like advertising purposes.
Do you get messages to there and you can't find them because it's like this weird Facebook Messenger thing?
My producer recently pointed out to me that I got like someone reached out to be part of the show that I had no idea, and it was sitting in my inbox for days.
Facebook fucking Messenger is the best and the worst at the same time. But you can 100%. Find me. I did say my real name is Brendone Caulfield. It protects me from Heath Ledgering myself. That's on Facebook. I pretty much I accept everybody. If I see you constantly posting miserable stuff and it sneaks on my timeline, I'm not going to unfriend you. I'm going to unfollow you. So I'm not going to see a lot of that. But also, if you post like my mom is sick or my cat is dead, stuff like that, I will say my sincerest condolences. If it's your birthday, I will probably private message you happy birthday because I feel like that might make your day just slightly better. But if you're constantly miserable, I will unfollow you. And if you're a piece of shit like one of my supervisors, I'm going to unfriend you. I'll probably block you too. But that's where you can find all that stuff. And the most important thing, patreon.com/BrendonC. I'm not a fan of the word family, very much as I've hinted in the last 45 minutes. Not the best relationship for myself. Like, hell, the Manson family's a family. That's not a good family. So I like the word community. And
shouldn't be laughing.
But it's true. That's the thing. I say fucked up shit, but it makes sense. I wish it didn't.
Nope, you're absolutely astute in that observation.
I have a story that I will not say on the air, but I did compare someone to an abuser. And then my friend sent me their Instagram story and they were reading the autobiography of the abuser I sent them. And she just said, "How did you know?" I said, "I hate being right. I don't believe in psychics because I used to perform magic." We didn't even get into that part. And I don't believe in psychics. Once again, atheist. But I might be psychic. That's my curse. I might be Raven Simone. I don't know yet. But there's all those little things. You can find all that patreon.com/BrendonC. My podcasts go up early there. There's exclusive podcasts. There's a daily song of the day with a breathing exercise and a little bit of motivation. Multiple Zoom events. We watch wrestling. And then also, up until July next year, I am planning on running. I also did a holiday special last year, Go Hard Pro. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, something I mentioned earlier, if you stuck around this long. December next year, I will be wrestling one of my patrons, but I'm not just picking their name out of the hat. They have to cut a promo every month. And the top 6 people, guess what I'm going to do to these guys?
Gonna make them wrestle each other?
No. Even better. You remember like Most Extreme Elimination Challenge?
Yes.
So the top 6 people, to make sure they're like physically fit for this, I want to get like the worst American Gladiator ideas, MXC. I want to put a little fear factor in there. I'm going to have these people eating like chicken heads. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but whoever wins this has to suffer to prove like they deserve the training. And then 2 of the runner-ups will be involved in a tag match at like a 6-man tag, and the winner will face me. And these guys have been cutting promos better than a lot of indie wrestlers, I'm going to be honest. And also, like, they keep it up. And then while we're discussing the promos and such, they get a little inside details of struggles that wrestlers actually go through, of if someone uses a move you're going to use earlier in the show, or if someone does something that's similar to you. Like, they get like this insider thing that I am open, because I do believe in being supporters, and you're being open. You're my sponsors. You are my, and I just talked about this with someone yesterday. You're my board of directors. So I will be completely honest. If there's any wrestlers I refuse to be on the same shows, I recorded a podcast in August and I posted the exact message I sent promoters who I refuse to be on shows with, because I'm that honest to you and I'm that open, and I want you. A lot of us get disappointed with people. We idolize false heroes and then they fail because everyone has a fallacy. I want to have as minimal fallacies as possible, that I can't just make fun of myself on stand-up. So there's all this stuff there that I've built this community. And when you even mentioned earlier, you thought it was me because it was my gimmick shirt. 5 of those people flew out to Edmonton to watch me wrestle.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. That's ridiculous. So it's a great time out there. And then also I do Instagram lives every other, Tuesday. So there's a lot of content, Instagram, Twitter, mostly.
Right on, right on. Well, again, Holden, dude, it was absolutely marvelous speaking with you. Again, April can't come soon enough. I'm going to be picking your brain the second I hit stop recording. But once again, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Consumerism is quite the satanic majesty, isn't it? Well, we're not shy here at lovewrestling.ca. I'll tell you what, I'll tumble for you. But you know what won't tumble? You got lovewrestling.ca wine tumbler. And where can you get it? I hear you ask. Off camera, I suppose. You can get it right here on lovewrestling.ca/merch. Cheap plug, I know, but it just makes things taste so damn good.
I haven't spoken to as many wrestlers as I would have liked to so far on the Smark and Friends podcast. So maybe my frame of reference is a little more narrow than it should be when I'm making the statement, but I'm going to say it all the same. When I hear Brendone talk about wrestling, I feel like I'm listening to a guy who is so smart beyond his years when it comes to pro wrestling. He's speaking like a veteran of 20 plus years when he's only been in less than 10. And I think that's incredible. Brendone, Holden Albright, I think you are, after this conversation, I think you are an absolute, just fiddling about and slamming things as I speak with my hands. I think you're an absolute credit to the Canadian wrestling scene, and very happy to have this conversation with you this evening. Once again, that was Holden Albright on Smark and Friends, talking wrestling, talking content creation, and talking about all that amazing stuff that falls in between. Once again, please check out the last episode of Smark and Friends, because this was a lot of fun. Of course, you just heard all of Holden Albright's answers in full, but we also had I also had a blast putting the Voros twins on the spot, Alicia Atut, Ravenous Randy Myers, Michael Richard Blaze. Great times in the last episodes. Definitely worth checking out. And yeah, if you liked what you heard, please head over to ratethispodcast.com/lovewrestlingca. You won't be rating just the Smark and Friends podcast. You'll of course be rating all the content being created very proudly here at lovewrestling.ca. You can follow me on social media at smarkmouth on Twitter, at smark.mouth on Instagram. You can follow the show at Smark and Friends on Twitter. And of course, you can follow at Love Wrestling CA on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Thanks for catching my conversation with Holden Albright. We're going to be back next week. Till then, friends.